We're going to travel a little bit into the dark side in this video. The reason why we're going to the dark side is because there's a lot of just sick shit, just just scum and just so much trauma and just negativity that needs to be fucking exposed and revealed. And it's the great shadow work. It's the only way we can fucking heal things. We have to go into this kind of stuff in order to fucking elevate both ourselves and our beloved archetypes, our gods and goddesses, and our ancestors. That's what true magic, true occultism is all about. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about necromancy and the dead, which is the communication with the deceased ancestors, those who have gone before us. And I just want to put up a fair warning here that the article that I'm going to be reading is not my own information. This is Uncle Bearheart's blog backup, the Grand Order of Draco Slayers original blog backup on the subject of necromancy. It is not my information to share. It is Uncle Bearheart's personal gnosis that it's been decided that this was to be put out there and backed up. Now, if any way Uncle Bearheart himself or the spirits associated with him, decide that they want this video taken down in order so that this information will not be abused by the enemy or fall into the wrong hands, I will gladly take this video down immediately. It's not like the enemy already has all our information, the information. And 90% of the fucking so-called occult is controlled by these motherfuckers. It's like we're in a multi-layered onion. They have fucking atheism, communism at the very center, the closest to non-existence, and that's where they want us. A fucking monoculture, fucking just multilingual, just fucking no gender, just fucking everything, just nothing, just like the dead. Like in these dark schools, they call us all the dead. Anyone who's not with them, they call them the dead. That's what they want us to be. That's what the push for the multicultural garbage is all head towards, and that's what communism is, just death. It's just a death world. They want to turn this earth into a giant fucking tombstone and just have no life on it. And when these retards don't fucking understand that are in these light and dark brotherhoods that are both fucked up, is they themselves are just going to get taken the fuck out. The beings that they're working with, or the entities or forces that they're working with will betray them in the end and will take them the fuck out. Now, I have some experience with necromancy myself. If you are smart enough and watched all my earlier videos talking about this nasty fucking spiritual entity, that nasty fucking spirit or entity that ate my dad's soul and tried to eat me, that was sort of a indirect necromancy, regaining my dad's soul, through the entity. They're removing it and purging it. My dad, even though he was in hell pretty much in a pretty horrid condition for almost 2 years, he was never far from me. No, he was right behind me, that thing, in the belly of that thing, and I was to be its next meal. That is why I've chosen to read this article and illuminate more on the subject of necromancy, because this is all about our ancestors. This is fucking important. If we are going to fucking heal all these wounds, all these fucking traumas, all this, fucking shit, that man has had to go through, these fucking cycles, uh, these fucking just golden age apocalypse, just these fucking catastrophes and these traumas, these revelations, which have already fucking happened. They've already fucking happened, but these motherfuckers will use the Book of Revelation and manipulate to gaslight people. Hey, if you don't do what we say, the wrath of God will come upon your head. The moon will turn to sackcloth, and the fucking volcanoes will hurl themselves at you and everything. That shit's already happened. That's talking about the pole shift. But what they're really saying is fucking toe the line, walk in your chain gang, don't speak, put the gag back in your mouth, shut up and love your slavery, or we're gonna make it happen to you again. Or we're gonna fucking do this to your planet again. That's what the message of these fear-based religions is really all about. It's a fucking disease at the fucking core. It's completely rotten. It's gotta be, burned the fuck out. So without further ado, I humbly present, I, John Caprine, to Truth and Fullest Knowledge, present this following article: Necromancy, Fusacer Oil, Helios Cleansing, and Helios Oil by none other than Uncle fucking Bearheart himself. Dated Friday, 29th January 2016. What necromancy is: the consultation of that which has lived, meaning manifested into its own biological physical body and has now passed over, died, in the effort to gain knowledge and or assistance. What necromancy is not: putting on a piss poor junior varsity drama equivalent of a play acting ritual in a forgotten graveyard full of styrofoam grave markers inscribed as unknown while wearing black robes you finished out of dumpsters behind a Halloween store and falling into epileptic fueled breakdancing. This is for when you want to perform the worm correctly, and there's a non-working YouTube link, but I'm pretty sure I know what it is. It might have to do with I'm talking about the ShamWow of occultism guy. Necromancy is not the dark art which is correctly termed negromancy. However, the uninitiated and the hoaxers and scam artists rarely know the difference, and the most glaring examples clearly have no clue, and thankfully that brings about their meteoric downfall. Necromancy is not evil unless your intentions are ill and or the departed spirits you are seeking to contact are willing to commit evil acts. Nor is necromancy seeking to conjure forth so-called demons either, as necromancy is about consulting that which has lived and now has died. This means that none of the goetic spirits, which are often stupidly classified as demons, can be reached using necromancy, as they have never once lived and thus never died. Also, all else generally classified as demonic did not ever live either. The vast majority of true necromancy is quite beautiful and healing. Necromancy is found in ancestor veneration, the purification and elevation of your mighty dead, and communication with the departed through honest mediumship and linked with the solar planetary realm. As they have brought light to you to light your darkness, so shall you offer light to them. You discover just how eternal and infinite you really are, and the amount of love your own bloodline family, as well as other spirits of the departed, have for you. It is the forefront of religion, as it confirms the existence of an afterlife and that your actions in life do matter, even if you think they don't. An uncomfortable thought for some, I venture, but for most of you, that should be a great comfort. From a Kabbalistic standpoint, necromancy is expressed through 9, the moon, astral realm, 6, the sun, universal crossroads of noon and midnight, and at 11, Pluto, the underworld. Both 9 and 11 are dark realms which only reflect the astral world or absorb the underworld of universal provider of physical life force, the sun. As you are the god or goddess in the circle, you stand sun center of your magical universe in microcosm, offering your time, attention, force of personality into the underworld. Pluto, the dead, brings them to light and life force and acts as a medium. So this is literal shadow work in the truest sense of the word. We're bringing to illumination our ancestors, all that has come before us. Continuing on, the offering of candlelight and food offerings prayed over and blessed by you for the dead is yet another further offering of light and life energy by which elevates them and allows them to better assist you. As such, many are surprised to learn just how necromantically talented spirits and other entities gather in the planetary sphere of Sun's soul. Now, just because you are not contacting the spirits via necromancy, it doesn't mean that they cannot teach you about and aid your work within necromancy. It's crazy when you realize that Christianity is just a giant necromantic cult ripped off from the setting and rising sun cults of Helios and even Apollo. That being said, I would be lying if I were to suggest that great evil and or harm could be accomplished through necromancy. There are evil to see spirits, confused, desperate, and broken, just as are those kinds of living people, the dead, because their extremely close proximity to the physical realm, and as such, the malevolent, hungry dead are popular choices for sorcerers, magicians to send against their enemies or to people of their clients' targeting. Helios cleansing. If you are feeling as though you might have come into contact with malevolent dead, you are feeling ill a lot, sapped with energy, nightmares of being eaten or buried, a steady decrease in finances, difficulty concentrating, swear words and threats of rape and other violence whispered into your ears, a sudden onset of insomnia. This simple cleansing can do wonders in ridding the hungry dead from your sphere of influence, body, and or clearing away of psychic sludge. This is different from the Apollo cleansing, as the focus is slightly different, and as this is to cleanse you from the energies of evil dead and such influences. Take an orange, and on it scratch the planetary symbol of the sun, a big circle with a point in the middle. Into the skin of the orange in a bowl or pitcher of cold fresh water. Now bruise or tear a few basil leaves and submerge the orange with a pinch of salt. Place the pitcher or bowl with the basil and orange in direct sunlight for at least an hour. Ask Helios to be blessed and empower with a solar strength purification. Take the orange out of the water and starting from your head, wash your body with the orange over every inch of your body like it was a bar of soap down to your feet. Place the orange on the floor and now take a mouthful of the basil water. Swish and spit out the water on the floor or in a sink. You can do this near a sink. Now bow your head just a bit and pour some of the water so that it runs down from the top of your head and down towards your forehead. Take the orange and place a small dab of honey on it and push 6 pennies into the skin of the orange. Take the orange and water outside. Bury the orange in a small hole and pour the water over it. Thank Helios for cleansing you and tell him that the honeys and pennies are payment for his work. You should have a strong sense of clean after you perform this act. It is best to perform this on a Sunday, but any day is fine. You can also perform this type of cleansing once a week if you need or want to. Helios oil. If by some chance the above cleansing isn't enough, and rare will be that case, I have something else that is much stronger. I receive on occasion messages from people who are real victims of malevolent dead and or have been spiritually devastated by working rituals found in certain evil necromancy grimoires and other highly questionable sources. Is it because these grimoires or other materials are legit? Fuck no. It is because they were hoodwinked into opening themselves up to selfish, greedy entities and or did shitty things to the dead and angered the spirits of the deceased they were fucking with. In certain cases, I have prepared Helios oil. It is remarkable ward against the dead and restores vitality to the psychic centers devoured and chewed on by the hungry dead. The oil is not free, but is not expensive, a near lifetime supply for around $25. I think that is fair. Frucicer oil. Frucicer is a major astral spirit principality with whom a vast wealth of necromantic talent is kept. Oftentimes a brief introduction is all that follows his name. He who brings life back to the dead. This is not an uncommon occurrence. These grimoires are all initiatory books, written in half-truths and with hidden meanings. Just reading them at face value and thinking you can now replicate the rituals and fully understand the spirits detailed within is the pinnacle of silliness. This lends further credence to the importance of initiation. Anyone saying otherwise is either a fool or a liar. You should avoid both. All the goetic grimoire spirits I have been initiated to, yes, it's not the only tradition, but the individual spirits that make up tradition, which you must be initiated into, have a compendium of tonics, charms, poisons, oils, etc., belonging to each. No such grimoire exists. By that I mean is published. They exist because I have my handwritten one hidden away, with even but a few of the authentic formulas, and strangely fortunate, not even the fraudulent ones. With Frucicer, it is often misinterpreted that he can bring the dead back to life. No, he in fact brings life back to the dead. Frucicer's oil is essential to all goetic pots I make and the gin bottles. In all, both plant and animal remains are used in their construction. In the case of the gin bottles, the appropriate plant and animal remains help anchor the gin to the physical world, but can also help the gin in its work. By applying Frucicer's oil to the remains, he allows the once occupying spirit to reanimate the dried out husks, and its spirit becomes aware of its former body once more. The spirit of the animal or plant may then consciously work with the jinn, and through their works be given the chance to step up on their spiritual evolution. All plant and animal remains I shall use shall be awakened and asked if they desire to work with the jinn. If they say no, I never force them. I find another. This is an initiatory formula in the highest degree, but I recognize that people might desire to use it in their own work, and if you are interested, I will also give you a great deal on many usages for it. Like the Helios oil, it won't be free, but a huge supply can be made available for $25 to $30. If you ever desire to receive initiation into the spirit, I recommend that at some point you will need to purchase this oil, as it will become very clear why you should ever become initiated into Frucicer's mysteries. Uncle Bearheart. That's the end of the article. But when I add some of my own comments here, there are many fucking lies and misinformation out there. It's just oversimplified. You know, this is not much better than the Christian religion that says there are only two destinations, there are only two afterlives, heaven or hell. There's no such thing as reincarnation. There is only one God. All bullshit. All of it. Fucking lies. But moreover, worse off, that these teachings have infiltrated the occult, and there are some misguided individuals out there who say that once you die, you reincarnate very quickly off, or you don't hang around the earth that long. If you're a ghost and spirit, they can hang around for weeks to months, but not more than a few years. If it's 10 years, you're not speaking to your old grandpa or your dad anymore, or your or your deceased aunt from 20 years ago, you're speaking to a demon. I believe this to be bullshit. Now, nine times out of 10, that may be right. They may have already moved on. But there's a few exceptions to that rule. And why I say it's bullshit, because it doesn't take into account, trauma. There are many instances where souls are traumatized and they cannot fucking move on. Victims of child abuse, for example, or people that have been burned, or have been really harmed in the Inquisition, or even souls that are being harvested right now by the Archons and the negative forces that occupy this earth. Life is a truly fragile thing, and even the soul is a fragile thing too, but it's still eternal. It can't be completely annihilated, and that's what these motherfuckers hate the most. The dark negative forces, they hate that the human soul is immortal. So if they can't straight out harvest it 100%, then they like to burn it in their astral realm, or they like to eat on it or gnaw on it into submission. In the Catholic religion, they have this shit called purgatory, and basically what it means is that if you were basically, regular Joe, you fucked up a couple times, you weren't bad enough to warrant the wrath of Yahweh to burn in hell forever, but you weren't good enough to go to heaven and be assimilated by the Borg in heaven either. So what they do is, it's called purgatory. It does hurt like the Christian hell. It isn't fun, but that's where basically Yahweh bullies you, gnaws on you with his golems, with the Christian demons and the Christian devils. They tear and rip at your soul into submission, basically, until they basically break you down to where you are essentially something that is edible for the Borg cube, for the New Jerusalem. Fucking heaven is a cube. It's a big giant machine. It's a big box, the cube. And Bearhart and I fucking talked about this in Messenger, that the Christian heaven, the Islamic heaven, and the Jewish heaven is all the same. It's just a fucking Borg cube. Even the Buddhist heaven and the New Age heaven, it's just a fucking cube. And you have your individuality erased from you. You get assimilated, and you basically become God's food. It's a big happy pleasure machine. But of course, a lot of people, they have individuality. They have these sorts of things that makes it difficult for the Yah monster to feed upon. So he tortures you into submission so that you can be finally eaten. And then, when he's sick and tired of it, he throws you back into earth to be recycled and reincarnated over and over again. And it's not just Yahweh that does this. There are other fucking entities and spiritual bullshit that like to gnaw on the dead. They like to eat the dead as well. And that's where pedophilia and child abuse and torture comes in. Trauma and pain and suffering is what feeds these negative forces. Our screams and our anguish, it's like food to them. They love it. They love our pain. They love our suffering. They love our anguish. And that's why, and the elite, with pedophilia and child abuse ring circles, they are feeding these entities with the child screams. They're feeding them. This is no different from the Molech sacrifice, where they burn children, they holocaust their children to Yahweh, or in the and a piece of fucking granola or something stuck in my throat, where they colonized the Aztec bullshit. There, the Aztecs were colonized by the privileged people, the chosen of Yahweh. They've colonized fucking Aztecs too, and I remember in fucking history class there, our history teacher straight up told us, and this is one of the things they got right in history and the Aztec sacrifice, that the children's tears, the tears of the child being sacrificed to Talok would become the rain. As they literally fucking said. The tears of the child being killed for Talloak, its fear and cries would become the rain droplets. So its tears falling down become the literal rain for this bullshit rain god who supposedly makes rain, but he can't make rain without your kids. No, 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 no. Your kids is a price for having rain. See that fucking bullshit? You know, it's no different from giving your kids is the price for having a son. These fucking priest class motherfuckers, they play on that and they say, it's no bit different from statism day. Oh, you have to have a heavily armed, militarized police force to abuse you and beat you over the head with batons and shit, everything like that. Oh, that's the price you pay for having roads, for having a society. Just completely idiotic bullshit, And there are so many souls there that have been harvested or partially harvested. Um, I think it's more about the pain and anguish, the much suffering they can inflict upon their victims for it, and it's mostly Yahweh, the demiurge, who likes human sacrifice. Now, in the satanic left-hand path traditions, they're distorted and pretty fucked up as well. In all the grimoires and like left-hand path books that I've collected there, um, almost all of them like have no human sacrifice in them. Now, there's one book that I read so far that did have human sacrifice ritual in it, but only for so-called historic purposes. But all the other ones, like the animals' blood is used to open different stellar gates and let like various reptilians and other stellar races to invade or to flood this world with even more reptilians and stuff. More reptilians and even more greys can get into this planet, can get into this planetary field there. But the process of doing that is absolutely horrible for the individual being sacrificed. And a lot of times in human sacrifice, it splits up the soul, it fragments the soul. And so what can happen is that kids who have been molested in a previous life or ritually raped or something or killed, they can come back as like with Down syndrome, and they can come back with really severe disabilities or like literally missing parts of their soul. Now, I'm not openly saying that all people with like Down syndrome or people with like various disabilities have been raped in a previous life, but what I tend to figure out with the spiritual attachment, the spirit attachment that was fucking me pretty hard, me and my friend figured this out pretty fucking quickly, is that it isn't the case for people who do succumb to these very, very greedy, very, very nasty Jewy fucking spirits, either by way of the spirit attaching itself to the person in life or the person being ritually sacrificed to such very nasty, juicy beings, that the damage is often very horrendous. If they do end up being able to reincarnate, they won't be the same. They'll be pretty fucked up. They'll have disabilities and things like that. Now, this is where we get into the fucking thing of soul retrieval. Now, I'm not putting this information out there to scare you or anything like that. Soul retrieval is very fucking real. Soon after removing the spirit from me, like within a month to the calendar date, like 2 months to the calendar date on that, I had to find my dream journal real quick. I didn't write that dream down, actually, I recorded it. But I still have pretty good, I record it with my voice there, like I'm making a video right now. I still have pretty good memory of it. I'm not going to tell you all the details from it because I think there's a possibility it may be something more than what at face value. There might be something really, really fucking evil going on there. But this dream, I encountered a young girl in a white dress with blonde hair, and she was very malnourished, like starved to death, like skin and bones, like there wasn't much left. If you didn't get her to food and water quickly, she wasn't going to live for very long. but I found her. And I was almost tricked into walking her back home, supposedly so called. And I found out in the dream that something evil may want me to lure her, this piece of myself, may want me to bring her, uh, this girl, back to a predator or back to an abusive family or back to, just someone who had evil things in mind for her. And then I'm like, no. So I try to keep her around me without alerting her or without alerting the spirits or whatever, like predators around me, or without alerting things, what I intend to do, that I intend to protect her. And immediately when I came to that realization, I woke the fuck up. And I put on my white goat ring, my white dragon ring that I'm wearing right now. I drew the blue circle of the magician around me with the blue flames, and I literally started, I said a prayer to the higher force. And like, I don't know what this is or what this means, but this girl needs my help. This is, fucking important. What's going on here? Send me back. Send me back. I laid back down. I tried to do everything I can to visualize going back in that dream and everything. I just fell back into a dreamless sleep. I did not get back there, but I'm pretty fucking positive what that girl is there. I'm not going to say positive because I'm not going to try to interpret my own dream because that's going to manipulate it. I don't know anything about dreams. But that girl was either a symbol of the higher force or a symbol of me, the part of me that I was neglecting, that I was shitting on, that I was, really just throwing in the closet and just, lock the closet door and just forget about. It's the shadow. The shadow, we all have this. It's a part of our soul. It's ours. And the shadow is everything we don't like about ourselves. We are what we hide. It's also the part of our soul that's owned by the Vatican. When they fucking take your birth certificate, they take your fingerprints and everything, they take your blood, and these psychopathic, rabbinical Judaism Zionist fuckfaces, when they harvest your foreskin, that's the part of your soul. They take a part of your soul and it's stored away in the records in the Vatican, and they do whatever the fuck they want, with your blood or whatever. So you gotta reclaim that shit. But the good news is you can just scream to the top of the universe. You can just scream at the universe, no, I take back all my parts. And when you say that and you fucking mean it, the universe has to obey, and those pieces will come back to you. You will retrieve all your pieces. And this is why working with the ancestors is so important, because the biggest cause of suffering is a lack of information. It's ignorance. It's a lack of knowledge of these sorts of things. And so many people and children are going missing every year. They get, they get abused, they get killed or whatever like that. They get fed to the Ya monster, or their screams fed to the Ya monster, and their souls fragmented or whatever. They're not complete. They can't move on. Yeah, they might have reincarnated by now, but they still got pieces of them missing that are floating around in the astral plane. They have to get their pieces back. They have to demand their piece back. They have to be enlightened. And for those of them who have been really traumatized by the point where they cannot reincarnate, where they absolutely require this type of necromantic work in order to fucking heal, in order so that they can reincarnate, or they can go to their true place of rest, or just move on and evolve. And that's what this is all about. It's about elevating us, ourselves, our precious dead, all those who've gone before us, You know, no matter whether they're sacrificed in a war or some kind of conflict, or they're sacrificed by the police, or sacrificed by being raped or murdered or, you know, killed somehow, or they died in a traumatic accident, you know, or just whatever. They can't, you know, it's keeping them back for some reason. This work exists to let them evolve and move on. Very fucking important. About elevating our ancestors. This shit's all fucking real. You know? I've known it for a while. And I'm just beginning to share this information with you now. Even when I found Uncle Bearhart's YouTube channel back in 2009, I've probably known this shit my entire life and from previous lifetimes. It's been encoded deep within my DNA. And watching Uncle Bearhart just confirm what I already pretty much knew, it just activated me in a way. But I was ignorant and I was without a mentor, and I just had to go through all, you know, the dork brotherhood bullshit on my own without really a guide. You know, and I knew that I did not like the white brotherhoods at all. I did not give a fuck for them, you know. No, when I was leaving Catholicism, I didn't care. I didn't really read much of Crowley or into Thelma or anything like that. No, I wanted the dark shit. You know, I went straight into Anton LaVey, then I went into Michael Ford. Michael Ford's an okay author, but, you know, I would not, it's okay to read, but I wouldn't, you know, do the clip off stuff, because it's not just internal. We have all soul maps within us, but that shit is distorted, and it will just open you up to be fed upon by really, really, really negative and juicy entities that just, you know, they see you as an opportunity. They just see you as something to be fed upon. I had to learn that the hard way, because I tried to navigate some things there without a fucking, you know, really knowing what I was getting into, without having the proper knowledge and wisdom of the occult, you know, period. And every time that I tried to connect to the true horn god, you know, the true adversary of all this bullshit, you know, the true wild goat spirit, you know, the true horn god, you know, Karunos, Loki, Rahu, you know, I just got sidetracked into fucking just Jewy fucking safe Satanism, just, you know, corruption from the rabbis, you know, rabbinical approved Satanism with the made in Israel stamp on it. Have at it, goyams, you know. And then you get into that kind of stuff, and you fuck yourself up and you go insane, you know, all because you're trying to bring down the enemy. You're trying to bring down the system. You're trying to bring down religion, you know. Like Lauren Cooper says, you know, the anti-propaganda is part of the propaganda. Finally found this quote I was looking for. I want to share this with you. My eyes are opened. What has been taught as holy is blasphemy. What has been taught as sacred is profane. What I believe to be a cult is simply a snare for those that would attempt to tear away the illusion. By Eterna Sapientia. I got that quote from a screenshot on Facebook, like fucking back in 2015 or something. I did not look at it again till now. So I look up Eterna Sapientia. It's a book by, ironically, one of the fucking communist popes there, Pope John 23rd. That interesting. This motherfucker would end up telling the truth in his own book. And that's, I mean, I don't know the context of what he was saying to mean around that book personally, or is this a message or something, but it's fucking true. You see Christianity for what it is, and then you try to destroy it by getting into anti-Christianity. You try to destroy Yahweh. You try to destroy God, so-called God, by worshiping this God's enemies, by worshiping Satan, who it doesn't exist. There isn't a Christian Satan. There's just Kabbalah, and then you try to get into the anti-Kabbalah, but it's the same fucking tree though, and you find out it's all bullshit. I'm highly suspicious of like anything, that calls itself satanic, or even from the Joy of Satan. They got some good information, but they're into that MIDI stuff. They're into the Anunnaki and everything like that. I'm saying, if you want to get the real thing, just be a real rebel and destroy shit. All that shit, just get into paganism, know your ancestors and all that. I guess a true like satanic character in paganism, or someone who would really represent the archetype that we need, or God that we need, would be Krampus, who is basically Loki, because Saint Nick or Santa Claus is Odin, and Krampus is Loki. So Loki and his Vedic counterpart Rahu. Maybe start studying and meditating on those. Even after knowing all this, you still want to be satanic and connect with a true satanic energy, not the fucking false Yahweh, Yaldabaoth, fucking Kabbalah clip-off bullshit. I'm talking about the true wild devil, wild goat here. Not some fallen, Elohim, reptilian Yahweh, reptilian Moloch, reptilian Satan. I'm talking about the real thing. Loki and Krampus and Rahu and Kali. They're much, much, much older than the Abrahamic monotheistic shit. Just safer bet. Just don't work with anything from the Middle East. Just if you're looking to get into anything from the Middle East, keep it at arm's length until you know for certain that it's okay to work with. And I really don't want to just be that guy who just shits on everything that's from Sumeria and fucking Egypt, because there are a few good things that were in Egypt and Sumeria, but Sumeria by and large is very fucking corrupt, and they were the first civilization to be processed by the enemy alien invading forces. They're the first ones, and that there were fucking wars between Sumeria and Egypt. That's when the special protected group of people that I cannot name without getting this video taken down, they have annexed Egypt with the fucking cult of Aten, that Atenism, Akhenaten. Look it up. Every Egyptian hated him. Everyone hated fucking Akhenaten. He was a piece of shit. And then you had that asshole Lika in fucking who corrupted Hinduism. He banished all the schools and he made everyone vegan, and it was a divine cult of Buddha. Everything, all the other gods and goddesses and devas and everything had to get thrown the fuck out. Everyone has to worship Buddha now. Buddha is the guy you're supposed to worship. Egypt, it was Aten. It was the ten you had to worship. It was Aten, and then you had the fucking divine Buddha and everything. And what's another civilization they fucked with? Oh, that was the cult of Christianity. Then the cult of Mithras and Zoroaster. Zoroastrianism is the fucking worst. A lot of people still think, the Zoroastrianism is a good cult and somehow a good practice for the Middle East. It's fucking not. Because really, Zoroastrianism is just fucking Christianity 1.0. It's Christianity, 0. It's Christianity 1. And then Judaism and Christianity proper is Christianity, is Zoroastrianism 1.1. You know what I'm fucking saying? You have Zoroastrianism, which was the 0th level, and then fucking Christianity and Judaism was fucking, monotheism 1.1, 1.2 for that area. They realized that the dualism was a little too powerful. Their devil, or Arhiman, was a little too badass. Was a threat to Ormazad. A threat to Mithra and Ormazad. So they toned it down a little bit with the next incarnation. They made the devil a little bit weaker. They made their Satan now a creation of Yaldabaoth, subject to Yaldabaoth and an angel of Yaldabaoth, and they made Yaldabaoth seemingly the most powerful character in this fucking bullshit story, and they made his son, the Nazarene, Juicy Christ, who is basically just Mithra, who was stolen from Krishna, stolen from Horus, and they turned him into a rabbi, into some bloodthirsty, fucking convert or die bullshit. And then the rest, is just history. The Inquisitions, you got all the fucking Crusades and all that bullshit wars between the Muslim and the Christian land, but it was all just garbage, It was just garbage, and the rest is, Europe got completely fucked by this bullshit disease, called monotheism. And they brought that shit to the Americas, And unfortunately, that shit has been strong for a long time. Just finally, we're beginning to get a breath of fucking air, and we have a window of opportunity to strike with all our righteous fury and all our righteous hate and wrath to slay this monotheistic beast, this Abrahamic beast called Yaldabaoth / Yahweh / Allah / Buddha / Aten, slay that fucking garbage. But it all begins with yourself, purging yourself from it, making a willing commitment to truth, and wanting to cut that tumor out of yourself continually, purging yourself from that shit. Then you can help the ancestors and the people who are victims of it so they can move on to their proper places of elevation and evolution, and that we can reconnect with our true roots, know who the fuck we are and everything, and just bring all this slavery and just fucking all this slavery, sickness, chains, and all this garbage off of humanity so we can clean this fucking Earth, turn Earth back from a fucking garbage dump, back from a fucking cosmic, planetary dump, and back into an actual fucking healthy living system, where, life has freedom, and people aren't fucking, slaves to fear, or fucking slaving for some, fucking Sicilian beak for 40, 50, 60 hours a fucking week for just pennies, just to barely pay for bread and a roof over their fucking head. Fuck all that. It's come to a fucking end. And we're here to end all this fucking shit, to bring all this garbage to a fucking end. We are the fucking garbage men of the earth. We are the sanitation workers.